Wiggy time on the fly. Back at you one more time, and I think that face says it all. We're going to take it back all the way to November. Got to look at the case again. November the 26th, 2005. So it was just after Thanksgiving. I think it was a day after Thanksgiving in 2005. There I am in my beautiful strawberry blonde hair. You can't really tell, but it is strawberry blonde. At this time, I moved in with my friend Nick Makradakis, and I think his girlfriend or his sister dyed my hair red. We're drinking one night, and I was like, yeah, dye it. Well, I'm showing you this match, not for either one of these two guys. I wouldn't do that to you. Here's Danny Demanto. But this, I just wanted to show USA Pro Wrestling. This is in Bethpage, Long Island, New York. Bethpage, New York. Out in Long Island. For a promotion called UXW. It was called USA Pro. Run by a guy named Frank Goodman. And you could clearly see me talking to Danny Demanto right there. I hate when I do that. And my ring the bell maneuver, where it looks like I'm signaling for a first down. So these two are wrestling. Let me just give you a little background on Helter, Skelter. WWE was looking at him for years, is what I would say if he had talent. There's a nice exchange. Danny Demanto obviously called that. Oh, brutal. You like bad wrestling, folks? And, I'm no fan of Danny Demanto, but it's not his fault here. There's a kick to the nether regions. You'll see why I'm recording this match and doing it. You'll notice it here. Danny Demanto's gimmick here in USA Pro at this time was that he was a bad guy looking for competition, and he's got the frog splash, the whole bit. USA Pro they tried to have angles. There's a guy named Sean the Mick McCaffrey. No work involved there. There's a quick 3 on Helter Skelter. So that match didn't last. Helter Skelter was a guy, he obviously wasn't trained, obviously was horrible, but he would pay for legends to work on shows. He would pay them. Danny Demanto's cutting a promo here, but I'm just going to interrupt him and talk over him. Helter Skelter would pay to have legends on shows so he could wrestle them. So let's see what he's talking about here.
Second match in 5 years.
Well, you can't really hear it, so I'm just going to talk over it. But USA Pro would try to have angles, and around this time they brought in Kevin Kelly of WWE fame, and he tried to help book and help do storylines. USA Pro really could have been something too, because Frank Goodman had a lot of money, and he knew a lot of people, and he had good relationships with legends, but he was carney-ish, and he went after, Goof's money and ticket sellers. He made a lot of money. You can't say that for himself. But this is why... Oh, here we go. Here comes Kool-Aid. Big old Mr. Big. The best manager in the history of independent wrestling. See if we can hear him. Well, you can't really hear him either, but Mr. Big, he was a manager here in USA Pro. He used to ring the bell. He did odd jobs for Goodman, and Goodman put him in there as a manager. I'm guessing he paid his way in. I feel like half the people that worked on Goodman shows paid him to do it. But yeah, around this time they brought in Kevin Kelly to book and do storylines, and they brought in Sean the Mick McCaffrey, who ran the Declaration of Independence.net. That was a huge indie website. But it was indie, a lot of indie guys went on it, but it had buzz at the time. It just didn't have enough to take it to the next level. But Mr. Big and Danny Demanto, I wish I could fast forward this, but I really can't fast forward on this thing because I'm actually playing it on a PlayStation. But USA Pro really, this is the end of 05, so Ring of Honor was really the only other indie. Well, here's the reason why I'm showing this match. Because I wanted to have a match. I always wanted to work with this guy. I worked with him one time before this, but I don't have that match. Not that goofy fan who would always try to talk to the wrestlers and act like he was their old friend, but Vader. Vader, in my opinion, is... I put all three in the same 1A and 1B. Vader, Bam Bam Bigelow, and Yokozuna. They were just all great. Vader, later in his career in the Indies, I met him. I actually worked a bunch of shows with him, and he was a dick. But, you know, let sleeping dogs lie, as they say. But he was a decent guy here. And all the stories you hear about Vader is how stiff he was and how he Shawn Michaels ruined him in WWE. There he is, smashing the shit out of that chair that Goodman probably had to pay for. But look at him. I mean, you just can't take your eyes off the guy. He was a legend. He was a star, and rightfully so. You know, for my money, he was WCW's best performer of the 90s. I mean, you got to count the NWO. I mean, it's hard to go through them all, but he was definitely their best heel. The Paul Orndorff fight was taken way out of context. They could have hid that. I know the internet was starting to buzz around then, but if they hid that and Vader and... See, he's cutting a promo here, but you can't really... Wait.
Really chit-chat with the fans. It's a different side of Vader we haven't seen. He was about to turn...
Just that voice.
To shrink.
See, he's obviously a babyface here. He's going to be, because these guys don't get booed on the indies. You know, if they don't want to get booed, they're not going to... If they want you to boo them, they can figure it out, but... Vader was getting cheered, no matter what. And I always wanted to say I worked on him, and I got to a few times. This is the only one I have on DVD. The other match I have, where I refereed for him, it was Vader and Mike Awesome against Samoa Joe and a guy named Dan Moff. And I wish I had that. I don't know where the hell I have it. Hopefully I have it. I'm going to put it up here. But, of course, the one I have is where he wrestles Danny Demanto. Danny Demanto, well, whatever. That's all I'm going to say about him. But here, Vader pretty much called this whole thing. It was really quick. I know Vader called that part. I don't know if Demanto has any fear of throwing those forearms. I would, because Vader's as stiff as they come. Boo! Oh, I know that hurt. I should ask him about this match. Because Vader doesn't really... Ooh, I hate when that happens. Sometimes you're just screwed. There's really nothing you could do about it. But Vader at this point, this is 2005, and I mean, he lived another, 12, 13 years? So his health was, like, deteriorating, but he was just I remember talking to him briefly backstage here. He was complaining that he had a heart condition, and he didn't know how serious it was. Obviously, he's no longer with us. So it wasn't that good. I'm sure every one of those shots was a live round. I overheard Demanto talking that Frank Goodman put a hit out on him and had Vader shoot on him on purpose. No, it's just how Vader works. I don't remember this match at all. I might have watched it one time. As you can see in the background, this is a hockey rink. And that's the thing about USA Pro. Goodman had the money to bring all these guys in, but Goodman didn't put money into the production. I mean, look, you hate seeing that. You see that there's fans there, but it'd be great if you could cover up the back. Put a big black tarp. But you really can't. I mean, yeah, I guess you could. But, you know, Vince would do that. He would produce it. He's got a little more money than all of us. You see the Eddie on my wrist tape. Eddie Guerrero had just died maybe a month before. That, I'm sure, is a shoot. That just looks like it hurts. But it's how Vader worked. And there's a reason Shawn Michaels didn't want to work with him. Every story you hear, Vader was stiff, and Vader did things his way, and he got stiff with Stan Hansen. That didn't quite work out for him. Should have hold the camera a little better here. A little post, but that's still raw power. God, Vader was so strong. He's just an athlete. I mean, he played in the NFL. And I think this is it right here. So 10-minute mark, 2 matches. Gave Demanto as little offense as possible. And I guess I don't blame him. I look pretty decent here. I was starting to put weight on here. this is my post Ring of Honor, so I started. I don't want to say not caring as much. See how bad this is. Yeah, egging the crowd on, working the crowd a little bit. He doesn't really need to. Did he take care of him? Yeah, hey. Ooh, well, I kind of did. 3. See ya. But Demanto, I don't really give him any credit. Did pretty well. He looked good here, just jobbing out for Vader. It's not like he was going to go over anyway. You're going to put Vader over. The problem is, I don't think they brought Vader. No, they didn't bring Vader back. So, they're actually building Demanto. And they just, I forget what the hell I said to him right there. But Vader comes in, squashes, and that's the end of it. And that's the problem with the independents. They bring in these guys to beat their local guys and then don't bring them back or do anything with them. The whole idea is to build, and they didn't build. God, USA Pro had so much potential. Only if they could have kept Kevin Kelly around and put a little money into TV, just get local TV in New York. It's not really as hard as it sounds. And that's the end of that. Well, hope you enjoyed that one. I enjoyed it watching it, I think for the first time. So it was cool that I got to work with Vader. Vader R.I.P. And it was neat that I get to say I got to work with him. Hopefully my kid, if I ever have kids, they could go on YouTube and see that their dad worked with Vader. And then it's something to be proud of. So I always tell guys, when you're on the indies, work with as many people as humanly possible. There's going to be a guy you want to work with and say, yeah, I worked with that guy. And I'm pleased I got to work with Vader. So, that was cool to see. Hopefully I can find that other tag match, and you'll see it on here. Like, subscribe, comment, tell me I'm the shits. Tell me how great my blonde hair looks, even better than Flair. And sign it off, peace out, and keep in touch with yourselves.